viruses. Well, that process makes a lot of mistakes, and it's not just the little mutations it makes. HIV is actually diploid in a sense, and so there's recombination between all the strains. And so HIV mutates at a much higher rate than we have ever had to deal with smallpox or even influenza that we know changes every year, every season. And so the problem is, if you put one thing in a vaccine, your immune system learns how to totally fight that one thing. It's good at that one thing. But if you change that one thing just a little bit, your immune system is like, well, I've got to start from scratch now. And so there's so many variants of HIV that we simply can't put 10 billion different variants of HIV into one vaccine and hope that they make a protective immune response. So yes, so at this point we've kind of resorted to gene therapy. And 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was upset that scientists were pursuing that, because I was like, okay, sure, some of us in the US and Europe would be able to get this kind of therapy, but the people who need it in Africa, you're going to do gene therapy in a hut in Zambia? Come on. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, 20 years ago, you got your PhD sequencing a gene, and now this is something, we take it down to a core facility, and a technician does it for $3. So if the only way to stop HIV is this, highly technical, expensive process, then what we have to do is just make it cheaper.
Hi, my name is Kim. I'm from Tulsa. Are there any risks of developing superviruses?
So superbacteria, in the sense that they are resistant to all our antibiotics and cause a lot of disease, absolutely. Superviruses, in the sense that there are some viruses that are resistant to the antiretroviral or antivirals we have. There are variants of HIV that are resistant to the kinds of antiretrovirals we have. Yes, that is a constant concern. And so the problem we're dealing with in HIV is that we just have to come up with new drugs, new drugs, new drugs. And in the case of bacteria, new antibiotics, new antibiotics, new antibiotics. Though just on a side note, something interesting, there are viruses that infect and destroy bacteria called bacteriophages, bacteria eaters. And the Russians, the Soviets, pursued for years antibiotics with viruses. And so that's something we've started to pursue now in the US and Europe and that sort of thing, because it's becoming so difficult to create new antibiotics. We're like, well, look, viruses and bacteria have been fighting each other for billions of years. Let's use that to our advantage. And that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about at Free OK, June 23rd, is how we use, yes, viruses are bad. They make us sick. But those are the ones the public focuses on. Whereas as a researcher, I use these viruses as tools. And one of these tools, we can use it as an antibiotic to stop these kinds of multi-drug resistant bacteria. And I am working on something too, a different way of genetically modifying HIV to fight HIV, to deal with what Green Lantern was mentioning earlier. So yeah, viruses and bacteria are scary, but they're also our friends. Awesome, a t-shirt.
Here's your t-shirt.
Yay! Thank you.
Okay, we have another few-minute break, so get up, get drinks, snacks, visit the tables, buy stuff. We have these nice A pins and tie tacks, so you should buy those. We've got stickers and all kinds of other good stuff.